My name's Ed Langton. I'm here as a concerned citizen with MississippiHorizon.org, an organization that's leading this effort to educate the citizens about a ballot initiative. This is a constitutional amendment, an amendment to the Constitution of the state. The Constitution of the state is primarily designed to direct legislative, executive, judicial, and the Bill of Rights. But now we have an initiative 65 that is fraught with error because it now puts a product into the Constitution. There's never been a product in the Constitution. To call it medical marijuana, medical ice cream, whatever you want to put the word medical before, it doesn't necessarily make it medical unless it is truly a medical product. So we're here today to talk about this Initiative 65. And I want to tell you, it's marijuana, it's about marijuana, and some of my friends are for it, and some of my friends are against it. And I want to tell you, I'm for my friends. And the reason I'm for my friends, no matter which side you're on, when you read, and you must read the amendment, if you listen to sound bites and snippets of information, you're going to be the most uninformed voter that could go to the polls in November. The Red Line Initiative explains the complications and the consequences that will result if we pass this in Mississippi, and I will explain some of that to you in a minute. Now, this initiative was put together by very wealthy millionaires forming a cartel to pass this medical marijuana medical marijuana constitutional amendment. And with putting $3 million behind it, of course, they're telling you this is for compassionate care. We're all wanting compassionate care. I also serve as a director on the Mississippi Department of Health, and can tell you that the board itself has come out with an op-ed as well as a resolution in opposition to this amendment. So if you're for marijuana, you need to read this, because this is not the amendment to vote for. It shouldn't be anything like this in the Constitution. But if you've got to vote for something, there's an alternative amendment, which is 65A. Or you can just vote no to any amendments being made to the Constitution, which, when you really get practical and realistic, it's the right way to be, and the right way to vote, to not put something like a product in the Constitution. The amendment itself calls things like, they call it taxing, actually they call it fees, but actually they want the health department to be in charge of growing it, processing it, dispensing it, and taxing it. But they say it's not a tax, it's fees. It just so happens that the fee is equivalent to the tax rate. So you figure it out whether it's a fee or a tax, it's 7% equivalent to the tax rate. None of that money will be rebated back to cities and counties or anything. It all stays in the health department. The health department is taking over for the agriculture department, pharmaceutical, for the banking business is going to have a problem because it's an all-cash business, and I'll explain that in just a second. The dispensaries will be, they call them treatment centers. They're not treating anything, they're selling you marijuana products. The products that are called for in the amendment can be smoking, vaping, gummy bears, brownies, or cookies. So children can get their hands on the marijuana. Matter of fact, there is a provision in there to where they say the parent can give their consent to a doctor to certify their child to be able to get marijuana. Now, I know many of you say, it won't be my child, but as you well know, there are many citizens out there that may just say, please certify my child to get marijuana. There's all kinds of studies about how cognitive reasoning and ability of the mind is severely affected till age 23. The mind is developing. So once again, another big problem. there is no defined, the definition they use for marijuana is the very code section that says it's a Schedule I illegal drug. So that tells you right away. The other thing is your Second Amendment rights are being infringed upon with this, because if you get a medical marijuana card and you go to apply for a gun permit, a license, you are refused because it's against the federal law. And we'll be posting those Department of Justice letters that give you the specific information. What I'm telling you here is factual. We'll back it up with facts. This is not spinning some story. You have to read the amendment and the red line that explains it in detail. The doctors who will be doing this are not giving you a prescription, because there is no prescription for this. They will be giving you a certification. And we know with the opioid crisis how the pill factories, that there's in some states there's actually a trailer set up outside of the treatment center, dispensary, that basically is a doctor that gives nothing but certifications for people to go in and get medical marijuana. So I think you can see by just some of the things I'm telling you how serious this can be in a lot of ways. Also, when you get your medical marijuana card, you go in that dispensary, you're thinking, well, you know, especially people who are not of means will go in there to try to get the medical marijuana, think they can put it on Medicaid. No, federal government will not pay for it. Medicare, no, federal government will not pay for it. And their health insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, whatever, United Healthcare, whatever health insurance coverage you have, they're not allowed to do that because it's against the federal law. So what do? You say cash. And what do they say? Well, it's going to be $300-400. And you say, well, man, I haven't got $300 or $400 cash. So what do? You go out on the street, the black market, to get it. You don't know what pesticides, what's in the marijuana you're going to be getting on the street. So those are a lot of the problems. The dispensaries can be within 500 feet of an existing, not just land that's designated later for a school or church, but it would be 500 feet from any existing church or school could put a dispensary. Zoning, which Representative Ford will explain in further detail, but the zoning is also, when you don't have zoning in a lot of counties, that means you can put it anywhere, next to your home, next to a playground, wherever. So, once again, more of some of the things I'm trying to explain to you that make it a very difficult situation. But I want to tell you, if you look at the donors that have given to this, there was 53% by one individual in the state, wealthy individual, multimillionaire, and another 25%, so or more or less, that was given by out-of-state people. And just recently, there was over $250,000 given by a Washington group that's trying to make marijuana an industry. This is an industry that they're trying to put in Mississippi, and it's from big money people worth millions of dollars to make more millions of dollars off of the citizens of Mississippi. So if I haven't missed anything, I think I'll stop that point and let Representative Ford come forward and explain the zone. Sure.
Hello, I'm Jill Ford, representative for Madison County, Mississippi. In November, voters in Mississippi will have the opportunity to approve or disapprove the sale of medical marijuana. If they vote to approve medical marijuana, they must choose one of two ballot resolutions concerning the legal sale of marijuana-based products. As of today, these resolutions are referred to as Initiative 65 and Initiative 65A. I will vote nay for the sale of medical marijuana in the state of Mississippi. However, for those of you planning to vote yay, I strongly encourage you to choose Initiative 65A. And here are just a few reasons why. Initiative 65, not to be mistaken with 65A, is a broadly written document that does not contain sufficient language to establish a legitimate medical marijuana program. Initiative 65 is silent on the number of medical marijuana treatment centers. The term medical marijuana treatment centers is actually misleading, as they include growers, harvesters, processors, and sellers of marijuana. Oklahoma did not limit the number of licenses, and they now have more than 3,900 dispensaries in their state, 4 times more retail outlets than the more populous California, which has full-on legalization. Initiative 65 does not allow cities and counties to adopt zoning regulations for treatment centers, also referred to as pot shops. My 4 grandchildren attend daycare right across that street. My son and daughter-in-law own a home down that street. Having a so-called treatment center / pot shop anywhere near here will diminish property values for everyone. Initiative 65 also prohibits our cities and counties from receiving any tax and revenue or fees generated by sale of medical marijuana. Essentially, our local taxing authorities will have no control over these facilities, nor will they collect any revenue to defray the cost of enforcing this poorly drafted initiative. During the recent legislative session, I am proud to say the Mississippi House of Representatives offered alternative language referred to as Initiative 65A. This initiative would allow a select number of state licensed facilities to produce and sell medical marijuana products while observing local zoning ordinances to protect our property values. The structure of the program will be based on medical principles and administered by an appropriate state agency. Initiative 65A would give people who are in favor of medical marijuana a responsible pathway for accessing it. If you believe Mississippi should allow the use of medical marijuana, I urge you to vote yay for 65A to maintain our property values and our quality of life. Now I would like to introduce our next speaker, someone that truly puts his life on the line every night and every day for Madison County, our Sheriff, Randy Tucker.
Thank you, Representative Ford. And I'm going to echo what Ed said. I've got constituents on both sides, friends on both sides. I'm not here to talk about the medical part of it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to talk about the scientific part of it. I'm not a scientist. What I will tell you about is the law enforcement side of it. And Ed brought up a really good point. Medical or marijuana, there is no medical marijuana. Marijuana is a Schedule I narcotic under the laws of the state of Mississippi, 4129-139. The reason it is a Schedule I narcotic is because the probability and propensity is there to be highly abused. There's no regulatory oversight on how this is going to be dispensed and monitored in this Initiative 65. You're fixing to tax law enforcement with making decisions without any proper backing or any authority whatsoever. I think everybody's well aware of what's going on around the country with defunding police departments and what have you. Passing this Initiative 65, you better get ready to fund them, because you're looking at an increase in petty crimes, violent crimes, DUIs, DUI deaths. You know, we're the ones that have to go and notify these parents when somebody or a loved one gets killed in an accident. I think you can look at Colorado and Oregon, look at those statistics, 11 and 18% respectively in the number of DUIs increased. DUI traditionally has been an alcohol impairment. Now you're moving into a narcotic impairment. You have to retrain these guys to become experts in the field of narcotics detection, symptom detection, to enforce the DUI laws. You're looking at laws that have been in place for years on the books, selling marijuana within 1,500 foot of a school, daycare, church. Just like Representative Ford pointed out, we've got people in the penitentiary right now doing that, and it's done because it's endangering our children and our community. That is an enhancement within 1,500 foot. Now we're going to allow stores under this initiative to come in and sell a product within 500 feet. It makes absolutely no sense. The bill or the initiative as written is garbage. If you have to vote for 65 or 65A, I would encourage you to vote for 65A. At least we would have some type of guideline in place and some backing to enforce the law and to prevent abuse. Officers not going to know how one obtained marijuana on the street. You can have a card, and like Ed pointed out, you can buy marijuana anywhere. On the illicit markets, you can buy it anywhere. We got to figure out if it's illegal or legal under that initiative. Law enforcement is overburdened already. I can promise you, we are pushed to the limit with the manpower, resources, and the backing of the law as it is. We're fixing to open Pandora's box, folks, I tell you. Again, I don't know about the medical side. I've never been presented with any proof that there's a medical benefit to it. I know there's pros and cons on both sides and opinions going both ways. But I've been doing this for 30 years and protecting this very community for that number of years. And I've yet to see anybody put one piece of evidence, scientifically or medically, in my face that says it is a medically approved drug. And until that time, we're going to enforce the laws as they are. I'm asking you to help me prevent an initiative that's not going to be supportive to this community. It's not going to be able to be enforced by law enforcement, and it's going to run rampant. And it is a money-making Ponzi scheme for those that have set this up. I'll be glad to answer any questions.